Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another session of The Playhouse. As you can tell by my voice, I am super excited. You know, the last few interviews on The Playhouse, these are guys who have been trying to get for a long time. I've been trying to get guys, then guys tell me, don't worry, there's something I'm working on. I'll get back to you. That's exactly what this guy has told me for like a year. It's been about a year, Fakii. Yeah. It's been about a year.
Yeah.
Okay, in front of me, we've got what I call an OG in the industry. For those of you who may not know this guy, this is one of those guys who are behind the scenes, moving and shaking things. Media and entertainment. He's been in eventing. He's been in corporate Kenya. He's been in agency. He's been in music management. He's been music distribution. He's been in the film industry. And in this session, we're going to get to hear the whole journey. That intro may not have done you enough justice, Fakii, but I know your story will do it for yourself. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for none other than Fakii Liwali. I enjoy doing that thing. It's my exciters for myself.
It's good.
Kwanza, asante sana.
Karibu,
Thank you for coming. Welcome to the Emory Hotel. This is where we do what we do. Have you been, Kwanza?
Niko sawa kabisa.
Uko sawa,
At least now I'm more rested than I was when we started this conversation about doing this
thing. Yeah, you're even looking a bit chilled. Okay, I don't even want to waste time. Let's get straight into this. And my first question to you is, when did you feel like you got the passion for music, or is it the media and entertainment industry?
Actually, I think it was, let me not call it by mistake, but it was circumstances that forced me into that. Because all through, especially high school, I wanted to be an accountant.
Dude, you're the first guy I've ever met who says they want to be an accountant.
No, seriously, my dad was an accountant. So I used to look up to him so much that I actually wanted to be an accountant.
I get it.
And I remember even in my primary school, business education, I was top form.
Let me say.
When I was in high school, I picked accounting, and when I even did my KCSE, I was so sure that if there's one subject that I know I'll get a straight A, and if I don't, I'll actually ask for remarking, was accounts. I was that sure. I wanted to be an accountant.
And did you get an A?
I actually got an A, yes, in accounts.
Just to make sure, remark.
So I joined Strathmore University. Actually, at that time, it was Strathmore College. The university hadn't started. So I joined Strathmore College to do CPA, Certified Public Accounting. So I did, it has 6 sections. So I did section 1 and 2. And then in the middle of section 3, I had to drop out. So I'm Kanye West college dropout.
Why did you have to do?
Yeah. So at that time we ran into some family problems, and then I had my younger siblings who were in high school, and it was a choice of either I go to college or they go to school. So I was like, college can be put off for some time as they finish, as we try and get our footing back, but it wasn't a serious financial issue, but it just
the funds were not as much as they could.
Yes. So when I dropped, around the same time, my elder sister, who passed on about 15 years back, at that time was very much interested in writing. Like, she used to write a lot. Like, she always, at that point, she always dreamt of writing for like a funky magazine, So back then, she introduced me to international, rather US hip hop magazines, especially The Source and The Vibe. Now, around that same time, we crafted an idea of creating our own magazine in Kenya.
And what time is this?
This was 98, 99.
Wow. Okay, hold on. Let me rewind you kidogo. First and foremost, you are how many kids?
Okay, so I'm the second born. First born, like I said, was my sis who passed on about 15 years back. Then I have 2 siblings, a brother and a sister, who follow me. I'm 43 years old, married, 2 kids.
Nice.
13-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Bro, you have a 13-year-old?
Yes.
When do you legend?
No, let me tell you when it hits you that you have a 13-year-old. When he tells you, Dad, now I'm able to have my own Facebook account. You're like, what? Now I'm able to have my own Instagram account. You're like, what? And then you get a notification because I'd opened for him an account on Gmail, like an email account. Then on his birthday, I got a notification from Gmail that now your child is now able to operate like almost, okay, I can't remember the wording, but it's like they're telling you now your child's account can be an adult account. The controls that you used to have on his account, you won't have anymore. Because I used to receive a notification every time, like he even logs into the account. That's when it hits you that, wow, you know. Yeah, so...
Okay, I want to take it back, man, because I know you've talked about CPA, but me, I want to go back.
Okay.
Where were you born? Where did you go to Primo?
Okay, so I was born in Fort Jesus, Kibera.
For reals?
Yes. By then it was a very nice place. Back then,
I'm not hating it. I'm just like, I didn't think you were born in Kibera.
I was born for Jesus. By the way, I was born and bred in Fort Jesus, Kibera, and we lived there, I think, up to the time when I was in Form 1 or Form 2 high school.
Yo!
Yes.
Hey, you never really know people.
Yeah, so I went to school at Milimani Primary School, and I was there till class 7. And then just like I think first term class 7, my dad moved us to Olympic Estate Primary School. Yeah. You know that school that was so harsh in exams and all that? That's where we were moved to. And it was tough. But let me tell you, I did so much better in my KCPE than I would have done if I hadn't moved to that school. Because there's a discipline that school had, you know. We're in the same school with the likes of Benjamin Aimba. We're in school with the Asego brothers.
Yes.
We're in school with
and the Asegos were mob.
Yeah. We were in school. I was actually in class with one of their sisters, like same class. Like she used to sit, I think, either next to me or behind me. We're in school with the late Ken Okoth.
Yo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We're in school with the late Ken Okoth. In fact, for quite a while, Ken Okoth actually lived in our house.
And what was it like growing up in Fort Jesus, Kibera?
It was amazing because it was...
You know why I'm asking this? We always hear the negative side of Kibera.
Yeah. So this was back. It was almost like Buru in the after the 90s. You know, it was a cool place. It was a safe place. I mean, of course, there are the areas around that were not doing as well. But we used to. I mean, it was a good environment.
I get what
you're saying. It was very good. And I used to even walk to school even when I was in Milimani Primary School.
On Kiricho Road.
On Kiricho Road, exactly. You know, cutting across through
Toy Market.
Exactly. And Toy Market wasn't as big, as it was, you know. Cutting through Adam's Arcade, playing at that, you know, that structure just outside Java.
Dude,
at Adam's
can I
Arcade.
shock you, but I used to play there as well when I was a kid. Because I used to catch the bus to go to Kilimani Junior from there.
Imagine.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is now memory. That one when you play Kambali.
Yeah. So then finished, did my KCP in Olympic. Then I was called to Dago, Ditches. By the way, do you know why it's called? You know the origin of Dagoretti High School?
No, I don't. So,
when Jungus was still around, that school was called the Great High School.
Oh, I had the Great Corner, the Great.
But then someone in Kenya had Dagoretti High School. It's the Great High School. Yeah. So I was in the Great High School. Together with the likes of like Peter Ndwati, you know.
So, and what year is this again?
So I joined high school in 1992.
When you OG.
Yes.
When you OG. You know, you don't even look that old.
Let me tell you, I see posts on social media now and people talking about a certain thing, and I'm like, now if you are saying that, what will I say? You know.
Yeah. So and how was it's called Ditches.
Ditches.
How was Ditches then?
Ditches was amazing. Ditches was an experience and a half. Like like the bullying you go through, the monolization you go through, but when you come out, you're like, you know what, everyone goes through this. Yeah. So I used to be that guy who. So here's the disadvantage of ditches. Ditches, to get to the school, when you get off the matatu,
you're walking up
that hill, and now because of that hill, my family, and here I say my mom, used to never like visiting me that much because she was like, that hill, nah. So I was like, you won't visit me, I'll visit you. So many weekends I was at home. So I used to be that guy who used to find excuses after excuses to be home. You know, like even to the point where, and this was a common thing that many guys used to do. Once in a month, we used to have a school marathon where you're able to actually run outside of the school. There was like a prescribed route. So guys used to, you go out in your PE uniform, but you threw your bag outside the fence somewhere, and as you pass by there, you just pick your bag, enter a mat, and go home. You know.
So now you're getting home, what's your mom telling you? What are you doing here?
Now you have to make up excuses. Like you have to say things like you're not feeling well, or there's something that you've come back for, or you are let to go because of A, B, and C. You know, you'd always find something. My mom never liked it. I'm sorry, mom. So yeah, but school was amazing. I was a scout. I was in St. John's.
Are there anybody from the media that was in I spoke with Julian, for example. Julian Mashari is also in Ditches. I've done an interview with Waire. He was in Ditches. There are other guys who in media who are there at the time.
Yes. So okay, in media, the
media, music, the whole vibe.
So the people I can think of immediately, the first person that comes to mind, of course, is KJ.
Oh,
KJ, we were in the same year, but he was in a different stream of Form 4, and we were in drama class. We were in drama club.
Was he always doing that?
He was. Let me tell you, KJ was that guy who, you know, that thing, that head-on correction thing that he used to do in the Sunday newspaper. So he used to do it back then in school.
What?
In the school magazine.
What?
I can't remember what our school magazine was called, but then when the school magazine came out, while we were laughing in class, reading the magazine, KJ would be kneeling outside, because he had roasted cops like the prefects in school. So he'd be outside kneeling because the prefects are so angry with him, you know. Yeah, he was amazing.
Anybody else? Was Julian there at the same time as you?
Julian was behind me. I think Julian, Waire, I think they were in class 1. I mean, Form 1 when I was in 4th form.
Hey, the monos at you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else was there. Mdomobagi.
What?
Yes, Mdomobagi, same year.
As you?
Yes, same year. They were in the same class as KJ. I was in Form 4 North, and they were in 4W. 4W was like the class for, you know. Yeah. I'm trying to think of someone else, but those are the two that come to mind.
I had you say Peter Nduati as well.
Peter Nduati, no. So I had afterwards. I had Peter Nduati was in Dago, so I didn't interact with him. Okay. Probably he left even before I joined. Okay. Sorry.
And your baba,
you know.
Okay, let's go. Okay, now at least now, what I wanted to do was understand your upbringing of sort. As a farmer, were you guys tight?
Yeah, we're tight. I think I was there, especially for me and my sis. We became tight afterwards, but before, I think I used to be that guy who used to follow my dad so much that when my dad would cause for my big sis for doing something, even me would cause for her. You know, like I remember there was a time when my sis high school was in Aga Khan High. So she went for a Fakii without my dad's permission. So when my dad, I don't know how he knew, because those days there were no cell phones. Yeah. He went to pick her up, you know. So he was angry, so he went to the school to get her. So even me, I was angry, I went with him, you know. I was that guy.
Okay. You're the sibling, other siblings didn't like it.
I was a Kimbesho. Yeah, but we became tighter after that, and especially because of the work we used to do. Let me give you my dad was strict.
First of all, how many years younger is your bro? Is
My bro is 5
Hassan.
years young. Hassan, yes, he's 5 years younger than me.
okay.
My sister is 11 months younger than me. I always say I was so good they wanted another one. Yeah, so she's 11 months younger than me. For a long time, a lot of people thought we were twins.
Yo.
Yeah. So my dad was strict. Let me give you a scenario to understand how strict my dad was. So when I was still in, I think I was still in primary school, and my sister, or I think I was in high school. I can't remember well. My sister was in college. Now she used to go to college in town, IAT, Institute of Advanced Technology. You know, and bus fare to school, like matatu fare from Kibera to town, was 8 shillings. My dad used to count for her 16 shillings. You know, like exact.
Yeah. Like,
you know, that time,
there's no 20 bob you're getting.
coins had value. Coins had value, and
that's
coins
why
were big.
3. It was 3 bob.
Exactly. So my dad used to give to. So my sister, her classes were, I think, like late morning. Let's say 10 to 1. So the idea was she'll leave home after having breakfast. Then she'll come home for lunch. So there's no need for extra money. And now my dad used to go to work before we wake up. So my sister would find the money left on the table.
16 bob
16
exact.
shillings exact. So this day, my dad left 20 shillings.
Ooh-wee.
When my sis came from college, she bought us maembe, maize, you know, things. We didn't realize the effect of that until the next day when we woke up and on the table was 12 shillings. So
like,
kana for bebia jana, you know. Yeah. So my dad was strict. My dad was strict to the point where, and I don't know how parents used to do it at that time. My dad had this thing where while at school the teachers have a syllabus for us, my dad had a syllabus for us at home.
Of the same thing?
Yes. So we used to study twice.
What?
School and home. And home, it was strict. Like by the time the term starts, my dad had a plan for the whole term.
Come back
for everyone. Okay, so at that time it was my sis, and my bigger sis, my small sis, and myself.
Yeah.
My dad had a plan for each one of us, classes.
Ukirudi kutoka chuo, do this.
Yes. So used to study. We used to have homework for school and homework for my dad. Let me tell you. And this, I wish you can even ask my sis or my bro. We used to do homework. My dad marks. You do corrections. You get some of them wrong. We used to have a joke of, I'm doing corrections of corrections of corrections. And let me tell you, he would not rest. I think he rested doing that when we went to Olympic. Because now Olympic was sure. Crazy.
Yeah, he was like,
so now there he was sure.
Kabisa. But I can understand him. He's like, no, I want the best for my... Now in hindsight, can you understand?
No, in hindsight, you can see it. Like, it still seems a bit harsh. I know but in hindsight, you're like, you know what?
Yes,
it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move into... So now you finish Dago, and then you're like, let me go do this CPA.
So when I finished immediately, as I was waiting for exams, my results to come out, but when I was in high school, we moved to Buru. I think in Form 1 or Form 2, we moved to Buru. So when we finished exams, there's a friend in Buru who told me about some job opportunity that had come up. So in 1996, because I finished high school in 95.
Yeah.
So in 1996, this pal introduced me to Trust Bank. Do you remember Trust Bank?
No, but don't delay.
Trust Bank was a bank owned by some very
Actually, I remember
Indians.
It. Yes, I remember it. I remember it.
It went under receivership at some point.
Yeah.
But in 1996, And for almost 6 or 7 months, I worked as a sales executive at Trust Bank.
What?
Yes.
That was my first job. Now, 18.
I was 18 going into 19. So that was my first job.
How did you even get that job?
A neighbor just told me that he had been told by someone older than him that Trust Bank were looking. Okay, so it seems like a very top tier job. But actually what we were doing is we were hawking credit cards.
Yeah. That's what happened in the state too. Where you tell a guy, take this credit card, ikona ido.
Yeah. So now for us, the system was such that it was on commission basis. Basically, us guys are from school, we have nothing to lose.
Yep.
We enjoy going to work, So you sell 5 credit cards, you sell 11 credit cards a month, you get a bonus of 3K. This was in 1996. 3K. You sell 16, you get a bonus of 5K. You sell 21, you get a bonus of 10K on top of your commissions. Yeah. So now the trick was you'd go and get many people to sign up for credit cards, but they have to give you their 3 months pay slip, 3 months bank statements. So not everyone was approved.
Okay.
So you could bring in even 20 people.
Yep.
But then your boss has to approve a certain number, then his boss approves.
Yep. So, and then those are the ones now you'll end up being paid for. If you're not paid for those ones, if they're not approved, you don't get paid. So what we used to do is, because at that time we didn't really have needs, all we were looking for was that 3Gs. Yep.
So you get to 11, then maybe you have a buffer of maybe 2, just in case some are not approved. Or you make sure you take them in early so that they're approved in time before the end of the month, so you know what your count is.
Yep.
So then if you get any other extras when you've already passed your 11, you hold them for the next month. So to just make sure you get that 3Gs. So that's what we used to do. So I worked there for maybe 6-7 months. Then I went to Strathmore College now to enroll for CPA. Yeah. So I did my CPA, and I used to do.
And were you enjoying it?
The CPA? Yes, I was enjoying it. Yeah. I was enjoying it. Now remember Strathmore and its strictness about
hair,
clothing.
Suits, where you dress.
Though I never ran into problems really, but I could see other people running into problems. Although for us, because fun enough, for some reason I chose evening classes. It's not like I was doing anything else, especially after the job. It's not like I was doing anything else during the day, but I chose evening classes. So you'd end up going with people who also had jobs. Work.
Yes.
So it was fun, especially because by the time you come out, you're getting into Matria Buru at 8-9 p.m. So there was the fun of it. Yeah. But then now, sometime in 97. Like I said, I had to drop out.
The Chums thing.
Yeah, so I had to drop out. Then that time we had moved. Like I said, we were in Buru. Then
and now you're talking about your sis and the way your sis liked. That's in fact we caught up to that back there.
So
your sis liked writing.
She liked writing, and so we came up with this idea because her writing was also influenced by. From back then, she used to buy those magazines, Akina Write On, Word Up. Remember those magazines? Yeah. Then by the time I was getting into liking those magazines, it was the time of The Source, The Vibe.
Yep.
So as I started reading, that was the time.
Remember, now you're not going to school.
Yeah. Now remember, this was 97.
Yep.
In 97, 2 years back, 95, Metro FM, the first FM station in the country, started.
Hold on, before now you've just said something that I've never thought about. Those KBC, the first there was only KBC.
Yes.
And KBC was AM.
Yes.
So after that, the first FM outside KBC was Metro FM.
Was Metro FM, 1995. Chris Kirwa worked there.
Chris Kirwa, I need to sit with him.
Then remember, Capital FM came in September 1996. So Metro was before Capital.
Wow.
So the first Kenyan urban Kenyan music that we started hearing was actually on Metro FM. There used to be three presenters, but I keep forgetting the guy's name. But the two people, Yunia Amunga. She does, I don't know if I think she still does news on Capital FM. And a lady called Goreti Apondi. They used to have some shows every weekday between 10 and 1. Those were the shows where you'd know all the new songs internationally as well as in Kenya. But those were the kicking shows, you know.
Yeah.
So now,
and let me ask you, Metro FM, is it a subsidiary of KBC?
Yes.
It is, eh?
They used to, I mean, it operates from there.
From KBC.
Yes.
Okay,
it operates
I
from
just wanted
there.
to make it, because I was like, what infrastructure were they using?
They were using the
KBC infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yeah. Because I remember even going for interviews there.
This is crazy.
Yeah. So, when now Metro FM really kicked in was this time 1996. So I was working, I was fresh out of school, and then my sister had introduced me to these magazines. So I'd started getting into the hip hop world, hip hop, R&B, you know, the urban music world. And into 97, when now Capital FM had really come in, I think this was even before Nation FM. Yes. We came up with this idea. So it was myself, my sister, she was called Mariam. There's a friend of hers called Petronila, Pet. And I'll tell you why Pet is important in this story. And then there was another friend of theirs called Laura. And I'll tell you why Laura is important also in this story. Actually, they make me remember that Hussein Mohammed. Hussein Mohammed?
Yes.
The guy who used to run Extreme Sports, Super 8, the football team, were with him in primary school also, though he was ahead of me. His brother, Ali Mohammed, Sixth Element.
What?
You know Sixth Element?
Yes.
Yeah, anyway. So, around that time, the more I read the magazine, and because the hip-hop scene was starting to bubble in Kenya, I told them, how about we do a magazine also, a Kenyan magazine. So we divided roles. And Laura and my sis and Petronila, Pet, they're the ones who used to mainly write. I used to be the person charged with, I have to go and fight to make contact to find people to interview. So I was the guy going to look for Ted Josiah, Kalamashaka, so and so. So that was my role. Pet,
I love it.
Pet used to work in her dad's office. Her dad used to have a clearing and forwarding firm. Their office was at Hughes Building. You know what's important about Hughes Building in the urban music industry in Kenya? That was where David Mureithi had their offices. So David Mureithi and the dad, and I think the bro, no, forget even just owning the building. They also had their offices there. So, and they had their offices for their own companies, like their businesses. But within that office setup was a company called Sunset Promotions.
Okay.
That was David Mureithi. I think that was his first company.
What?
But I know at least that was the company that he was using to manage the first artists who he was working with, kina Kalamashaka, kina Gidi Majimaji, kina Sheila, kina Intu. Now, because my sister's friend, Pet, the office, her dad's office was on the 6th floor. I used to see David Mureithi there. So it became easy to, it wasn't that easy, but at least it was easier to approach him.
Yes.
Now, I think what influenced also this magazine thing is because while we used to go and hang out there at that office, once in a while, we'd see Kalamashaka. We'd see Intu. We'd see Sheila. You know?
I get it.
So,
and you guys are about to start this magazine.
Yes. Now, So we decided, let's start the magazine. So we started writing articles. Like, we'd write articles in advance, not even knowing how we are going to produce the magazine. So we were going as we were learning. It got to a point where now we were ready with like the magazine.
So did you get the interview with the artists?
Yeah, we got a lot of interviews. Let me tell you, we actually had 3 editions of this magazine.
What?
Yes, but before you get excited, let me explain.
No, I never published.
They were published.
Yes.
Let me explain. Now, we realized that the computer we were using was just the usual admin computer that we needed for that and we needed a designer to actually put now together the computer for us.
Yes, I get.
So Pet had a friend, a guy called Benja. Not that Benja, another one. No, actually we called him Benji. Now, Benji used to live in Madaraka, opposite Nairobi West. So we'd put everything together. Then over the weekend, we'd go to his house and we'd try and now he'd help us to actually design the magazine. Put it in
a magazine, yes, a magazine format.
Yes. So we got to that level. Now we had our full magazine. The name was Masala. Tagline, hot and spicy.
How old are you at this time, by the way?
I was 20.
Okay.
20, yeah. So it's time now to go and print. That's when you discover printing is not cheap.
Yes. And there's a minimum you have to start with.
There's a minimum. Then you're told, you have to register a bond with the government when you want to publish something. When you want to publish a magazine or a newspaper.
Okay, explain that.
So, I hope I'll really get this explanation right. I think it was to do to protect against defamation or something. There's a bond
that's the era of Moi still.
Yes.
So there's that.
You're required to pay $1 million, Bob.
Yeah.
Now, us guys were at a point where we used to hustle my mom for bus fare just to get to town to do this thing that we were doing. And here now someone is telling us, oh, you need $1 million, Bob. Because I think for the printing of the magazine, I think someone had told us that they would pay for us. I can't quite recall. Someone had told us they would pay for us. Long story short, what we ended up doing out of frustration, but because we already had the magazine done, we actually bought a ream of paper, photocopied the magazine, stapled, and just gave it away for free.
What?
Yes, that was the first edition. The first edition, I think, had Kalamashaka on the cover. The second edition, I think, which we did a few months after that, I think had Darling P on the cover.
So you've met all these guys?
Yeah.
So who's okay? So now now let's hold on. I don't want you to skip this process of meeting the artists. So I've understood how maybe you came into, in fact, even meeting Dave Mureithi. So now you go and talk to the guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, does this mag want to do this, that, the other? He's like, cool.
Yeah. So David Mureithi, I think, coming from the seeing where the industry had come, he was very open. Open in terms, the way you'd expect that this person won't even give you time of day.
Yep.
David Mureithi was open. He talked to me openly. Initially, it was okay. Leave your contacts. We'll call you. Or, come and see me at a certain time. Follow up a bit. But when I actually got to meet him, he was such a cool guy.
Yep.
And I think he understood our passion. Probably he even could see that some of the things we were imagining we wanted to do were not possible. But I think for him it was more of, let me just let them do it, then they'll learn.
What?
I think he gave us that chance to make mistakes. But he was very accommodating to us.
So he connects you now with, for example, Kalamashaka.
Yes.
And you sit down with Kalamashaka and do an interview.
Do an interview with them.
That must have been huge.
Yes. Plus, we became pals. Oh yes, now I remember. One of the Kalamashaka guys, Roba, was in Dago.
What?
He was ahead of me. But of course, now when we're in Dago, we really...
Yes, you didn't click.
We didn't click.
Yeah.
So we did I think the third edition. The third edition, someone gave us a color copier.
Ooh.
So now we made colored photocopies. Ooh. We were so ambitious. I can never forget this. Number one, we had Majize on the cover. Do you remember Majize?
I don't even. It sounds familiar, but I'm just like.
Majize was some 3 guys who used to do R&B back then.
I can't believe I don't know.
They were big back then.
I love R&B.
They were big back then. Number 2, we did an A5 size, like half of the normal A4.
Yeah.
Number 3, we actually put an ambitious cost of 25 shillings for that. And for us, we were like, it's colored.
It's colored,
you know. Let me tell you, there used to be a shop big with DJs at, what's that building where the Teacher Service Commission is? Bazaar Plaza in town. There used to be a shop there called VRNB. Did you ever hear about VRNB?
Dude, you're schooling me up.
If you interview DJs,
yeah,
they'll tell you that there's a shop they used to go and buy their LPs from. It was called VRNB. It was run by a guy called Ken. Ken was such a nice guy. He let us have the magazine. The magazine was sold at that shop for 25 bob. And like every day, dutifully, I'd go and ask him how many I've sold out. Like there's a day he'll tell me none has sold. There's a day he'll tell me 2 guys have bought. Then you learn that one was bought by someone in the industry. Another one was bought by a DJ. You know, such things.
So they moved.
They moved. I mean, they didn't make us at a big money.
Yeah, of course.
But they gave us. Because let me tell you.
But at that time, it's not even about the money. It's about our idea is working.
Exactly. Like if actually, let me tell you what was the bigger thing. When you go somewhere and then you say, I'm Fakii from Masala magazine, then at least one person says, oh yes, I know it. You're like, finally, thank God, you know. Yeah. And you know, there was a time when we were still living in Buru, when things had gotten so bad that, and my mom doesn't know this, I think she'll feel bad if she sees this now. So my sis and I, what we used to do, we used to live in, so we had moved to phase 4, then now we had to move to a smaller house in phase 2. When we were in phase 2, because I think mathrees at that time to go to town were 20 bob. So what we used to do is we used to walk from phase 2 up until past phase 5 and get to Jogoo Road and cross to the other side so that we can take the number 1961 Kayole buses that were passing, because when you get it from there to town, it was 10 bob. Yes. So that's what we used to do.
Yeah.
So that 25 bob was a big deal.
Yes, it's a lot.
Because the paper that we used to print, either Benji had given us some paper or Pet had taken some from their office. Yeah. So that 25
And like
bob,
how many pages was this edition?
I think it was probably like about 24 or 28 pages. It wasn't a big thing. It was a very small thing. But let me tell you, and I think this is what kept us going. My sis had a knack for writing. Like my sis would write a story.
You guys are like
such an inspiring story. Let me give you an example. There used to be that time when we used to follow the source and we used to buy it, like we used to buy it every month
religiously.
Religiously. We used to buy it from one of the newspaper vendors outside of what's this hotel in town called Stanley Hotel, just at the corner there. There used to be a newspaper vendor. So either there or you buy it from Book Point. Now, at that time we used to buy it at 400 bob, but we believed it was so necessary that this thing of walking so that we can get a cheaper means of transport.
Well, you do it.
We do it to just save. So that, and even coming back, by the way, you'd go and get a mathri. First of all, you go and make sure that you go when it's off peak. And secondly, you're willing to stand to pay less. So that 400 bob to buy the Source magazine and another 400 bob sometimes to buy the Vibe magazine were a big deal for us.
That's crazy.
But let me tell you, the Source there was a time when they had the Source Hip Hop Music Awards, and then we read about it in the Source magazine. Let me tell you, the writers of the Source were so vivid in their writing, you could see yourself there. Then now my sis, she went and did, and this was now after we were not able to do the fourth. This was supposed. She wrote what was supposed to be
the fourth edition.
Let me tell you, I felt so much pain when we were not able to do it, because the story she had written, she had imagined a Kenyan hip hop awards event.
What?
She had written it in the. I swear, I wish I could get access to that story. I would publish it just so that people could see
the genius that she
was. Let me tell you, the way she wrote that story.
So what prevented you from doing the fourth chums?
Money.
Okay.
Money. Oh, let me tell you why also. While we were also trying to do that, there is a guy who came into the industry and now did the magazine proper. His name was Mike Strano. Mike Strano came and did Fat magazine proper, proper magazine, glossy, full color.
In this whole, so what year was
this? Was 98.
The first Fat magazine came out before.
You know what people see, or what people used to see a few years back, was the Fat Buzz, the small one.
Yes.
There used to be Fat magazine, the proper one. In fact, I think their first cover was either Darling P or Majize, the group I'm telling you. Blaze was working with him at that point.
Yes.
These guys had the money. It was a bittersweet moment when my sis even worked for them a bit and wrote for them a bit.
No way.
So we used to tell ourselves, she's just going in, she gets experience and everything, then we come back to our dream.
So this thing was a big thing for you guys.
It was a big deal. And for me, it's what got me to hobnob with a lot of the industry people. And I'll tell you how important it became afterwards. So now this was 98.
Yes.
Then down into Paka 99. So I met all these people. I met all the top artists, top producers, DJs. Now, are
you listening to their music?
Yeah, I was listening to their music. I was buying their CDs. I was going for their concerts.
Okay.
In 98, when we were living in Buru, a friend of mine introduced me to a guy called Peter. Let me call him Peter for now.
Okay.
I tell you the story, then I'll tell you who Peter is. So I was introduced to Peter. So Peter tells me him and his two pals are in a rap group. And they wanted me to help them. Because they had seen me like hobnobbing with all these people. So they wanted me to help them grow. So I was like, I will just watch what David Mureithi does and I do with this group. Now, luckily, because now they all used to operate from Buru. So it was easy for me, like walking to Peter's house.
Yeah.
By the way, they were actually good rappers. So they had this group called MGC. MGC stood for Mystical Ghetto Cause.
Yes.
The Peter I'm talking about is Kajairo. Kajairo was a rapper, a good rapper,
Hold on. Kajairo, the one who's been in school with you?
Yes.
The MP right now?
No, Kajairo,
Kajairo, the comedian.
The comedian,
yes. Okay, I remember that Kajairo. Yeah. I'm just like, okay.
Now, they used to have a chick pal of theirs, because they were in KU. So they used to have a chick pal of theirs who was a rapper, but later on got more into singing, but was actually a rapper. She was called Jane.
Jane?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember who Jane is. Trying to remember what song. Anyway, I'll get it.
Jane was this chick who anyone would see her and would want her to roll.
Yeah.
But she was so strict. Like, we are here for music.
What's another year?
We are here for music. Jane is, or rather was, the late Janet Ikua.
Oh, what?
Yes.
What?
Yes. She was called Jane. Of course, it was inspired by Jane, But she was good.
A rapper and a singer.
Yes, she was good.
Dude. So at this time, it's like your introduction into management.
Yes.
Because guys are calling you to make their music career happen.
Yes.
Where unajua, how do you are a solution provider for them to get their solution.
Yeah. So now because I still had the tag of the magazine, I'd get into concerts easily. So I went for all these concerts, Beats of the Season. There were so many concerts that used to be done at the Ban, Ngongrescos.
Yeah.
So many concerts.
Yes.
So I was part of those. And then now, because of that, around this time, the late 90s, I ended up in several places. One of the places I ended up in was I met a producer who called himself Mr. Fat Sticks. You know what Mr. Fat Sticks is?
No.
Eh?
No.
Chris Adwar. So I met Chris Adwar.
Chris Adwar was also doing some stuff around Kibera, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So he was working with Maurice Oyando. He was working with Maurice Oyando.
At Next Level.
At Next Level. And then when just at some point he was picked by this school. Is it McKinney School?
Yes.
McKinney School, because they opened a studio. So he moved there and I moved with him. So when we're at Next Level, I never really had a lot of involvement. At that time it was still the magazine angle. But when moving this way, and it was around the same time as MGC, then I moved with Chris Adwar to that studio.
Yeah.
So that studio, I don't know if it was his name record label or it was the name of the studio. It was called Brick House. Now, Chris Adwar sold me an idea of, let's do a compilation album. This compilation album is coming from when Ted Josiah came in. See, he did Kenya the first chapter.
Yep.
So there was a thing about studios
chapters
doing compilation albums.
Yeah.
So Chris Adwar was like, let's do a compilation album. So Chris Adwar was the producer and me, I was supposed to be like the manager.
Yes.
I was the David Moreno
Yes.
while he was the Ted Josiah. You know?
I get it. Yeah, that was bringing in artists.
Yeah. So I brought in MGC into that equation. I tried to bring in Jeanne, but I think by that time she was like, no, this music thing is not, you know. Then there was a group of some 3 short rappers called Wicked MCs.
Guy.
If you ask Chris Adwar about Wicked MCs were harsh. Wicked MCs, think of them as a younger version of Klepto.
What?
Yes. They were harsh.
So like now where are you finding these guys? You got the connects?
They walked into the studio.
Okay.
So by the time now they were coming into the studio, I was talking to them together with Chris. But then now I used to talk to them more than Chris does the music with them.
Yes, I get.
In that group of Wicked MCs, apparently I had one guy passed on last year but one. He was called Deno. Deno was a heartthrob for chicks. And us guys loved it like that. Deno was a heartthrob for chicks.
And he's still a rapper.
Yes. But there is one chick who Deno had decided, this is the chick I want.
Jeanne.
No.
Jeanne is mekata.
Remember this time, they were young. I think they were still in school. Now, because I think there was a time when some guys from Next Level used to come to Brick House, or we used to go to Next Level.
Yep.
There was some interaction. Deno fell in love with a girl. Aki, I'm sorry I have to say it, but his story ni tamu sana. I won't say the details, but I mean, Deno fell in love with Talia Oyando.
I was waiting for that.
Wait. Deno, like we had to keep Talia Oyando away from the studio anytime because Deno couldn't work, you know. So we had
that compilation. Who else was on that compilation then?
K-Rapt.
K-Rapt.
Yes.
Okay, this is an interesting one.
K-Rapt was on that compilation. On that compilation also...
Was he doing what he does now?
Yes.
That sing rap thing?
Yes.
Yo.
This was K-Rapt before Ogopa.
And where did you meet him? Or he came as well to the studio?
He came as well. Either he came to the studio, I think he was even in that school. Maybe he was in McKinney, I can't remember. But he came to that studio. I won't say that I found him.
Yes,
No.
I get.
They came. So we did that compilation. We recorded it, but I don't know if we ever released it. Chris Adwar would know better. I don't know if we ever released it. Now, in the middle of this, see, I used to be now the guy trying to find gigs for the artists.
Yeah.
I remember one gig that I found for the artists, and the gig was at Impala Grounds. This was 98 or 99 or 98, one of those. So I organized for the guys the gig, took them for the gig, performed, and that's now how they started becoming known. I think it was 99, because I think around just after 99 is when now K-Rapt started drifting towards Ogopa.
Yep. Actually, K-Rapt was not in Makini. K-Rapt was in Lenana. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know how he ended up there, but he ended up in the studio. There was a reggae guy who we were with, not Jackie Mali. There's a reggae guy who we were with. I can't remember his name. I think it was King Kong. He was also part of the album. But Chris Adwar would remember better. Now, around that same time, because see me, I'm the guy of going out to find gigs.
And as you're going out, how are you finding gigs? Because it's not like you can go to Impala on.
I used to look for the organizers. So
okay,
I'll take you back to the Source magazine. The Source magazine used to be very heavily hip hop, and when they do hip hop, they go beyond what you see on screen. The artists.
Yep. They
go
into the executives.
Yes. So the more they went into the executives, the more I saw the executives, the more I wanted to become. So the Source was actually a turning point for me, because that's when I figured I want to be the guy behind the scenes.
You've come with
yes, Baka I've brought for you. So now this magazine, the Source, in their January issues, every January issue, they used to have this thing called the Power 30.
Yeah.
The Power 30 was a list of the 30 top executives behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So me, I always said, if there was ever a list like that done for Kenya, I wanted to be in that list.
Yep.
So for me, when I would read the Source, you see, anyone else would see Nelly on the cover. I see these guys. And when I go into the story, when I read about Nelly, I'm reading about the
role of the executives.
Yes, the kind of contract he has, the numbers he's done, those things.
Yeah.
Like when I read about Biggie in the Source, for me I read, okay, so the Source, there's a writer who used to do a column called The Unsigned Hype in the Source magazine.
Yep.
He featured Biggie. Diddy heard about it. He said he read about it and he was like, I want that guy's tape. Got the tape, and that's how Biggie got onto back. I was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
So
and you are not interested in rapping, you?
No, I was not. Okay. But
I was waiting for this one.
So there's a guy pal of mine called Patrick Njiru. He didn't know then, but he saved my life. I'll tell you how.
Okay.